Hey folks, dude here, making my rounds and decided to stop off at a Toyota dealership. This in the world market would be a Toyota Aygo. Here it's called a Yaris, and essentially it's basically a two-seater, or I'm sorry, a two-door or a four-door small hatchback sedan, whatever you want to call it. And it basically is the bottom rung on Toyota in the United States, or it was the bottom rung in the United States. Not anymore. What we now have something that is competition for the smart car, and excuse the finger, I'm still learning this camera, and it's competition for the smart car. And let's just do a quick walk around here and show you what we got to look at. Okay, so basically you have your Toyota Yaris Aygo, world market Toyota product. Basically it's a fairly small little hatch guy, and let me go around here real quick. Okay, looking at the numbers, it basically cranks out 30-35 miles per gallon, basically runs you about 16K, and it fairly standard setup. I mean, you got a back seat, you got a four-door, or you got a two-door, and it basically is just standard little car, nothing crazy. Cranks in 30-35, and they say on the thing, basically, if you look real close, basically it'll actually crank up to 41 if you're really careful on the gas. But that's not the bottom rung for Toyota any longer. Oh no. We now have got the IQ. This is a cool little car. Let's give you a quick run through real quick. It is 8 inches longer than a smart car. It has a back seat. It has, of course, 2 front seats. The front passenger seat is set back, kind of somewhat like the smart car. If you look at the dashboard is asymmetrical, so it's basically the dashboard comes out for the driver, and then it curves in for the passenger, so the passenger seat can be set forward for the guy in the back, and the driver's seat is set really close to the back seat, so actually it's more of a 3.5 person vehicle. But if you want to carry 3 adults and a kiddie seat, they'll fit. Here's the cool part. Now, basically, you have this little guy all set up, and it's very short. I mean, you look at the wheelbase of this thing, and it is short. I was just talking with one of the sales guys. He said these things actually do really good in San Francisco. You know, for the really, really hilly roads, they actually do really good. And because it's so short, and it has so little overhang in the back, Toyota's like, okay, where do we put the gas tank? The gas tank is about that high, and it goes underneath the floor. That's right, the gas tank is laying underneath the floor of the car, tucked up underneath. That's your gas tank. In the back, the shock absorbers are actually set up on an angle, so everything can tuck in nice and short, because the back seat on this thing is actually very close to the back door, and people would go, okay, what if you get rear-ended? This thing has a ridiculous amount of airbags. It is set up to be hit, and you survive. Now, the downside is, of course, you never want to really tangle something this small with a tractor-trailer. You're probably going to get flattened. You don't do that. Okay, now going to the front of the vehicle, your usual standard setup was basically you had your engine in the front and the transaxle in the rear. Well, this, to save space, flipped it over because the engine is fairly high and longitudinal and what have you, but basically the engine is standing up towards the firewall and the transmission is in front, because that way you basically have something that kind of looks like an L. Notice you can tuck in the nose a lot more. Also, look at this, very cool in another aspect. Usually when they build these cars, the transmission is in back, the engine is in front, so it's like a reverse L. In between those two things is your steering apparatus, which would be your steering rack, which basically is, of course, what basically steers your front wheels. You need that. On the IQ, they put it in front of everything. Good thinking, really good thinking. Also notice how short the nose is, how short the ass end is, and there's not a lot of overlap, because basically all you really need is you need people in the middle and something basically in both ends to carry you around. Now, looking in comparison over here to the Aygo / Yaris, you got a long dashboard, a long nose, and of course your driver compartment, your passenger compartment. Again, a fairly short overlap, but usually what they do on these cars is, if you look at them, if you can look at this car in cross-section, there's a little hump underneath the back seat. Of course, the back seat basically has the backrest, the seat comes over, and there's the cushion, and then it rolls over into the floor pan area where you put your feet. Underneath the seat is actually where they put the gas tank on conventional vehicles. So actually, this is kind of cool thinking. They basically said, okay, we need to put a gas tank on this car. We'll put it underneath the floor so we don't intrude it into any other passenger space. Also because we need to have some place for the suspension to hang. Good thinking. Toyota intelligence. That's the reason why they call this car the IQ. It's because they really thought it out. Let's do a quick look at this, the sticker here and get some ideas. Okay, looking at this booger, it basically cracks in an average of 37 miles per gallon. And, okay, well, that's not a huge amount of difference, but the thing about it is, it's really more of a city car. So when they say 37, they mean you're getting 37. And if you look at this, it says 36 city, 37 highway. It's 37 miles to the gallon, basically, no matter what you do to this car, and it's not a hybrid. It is strictly a gas engine vehicle. All right, now let's look at the price of entry here. Price of entry is $16,205. Not too shabby. Okay, basically you got yourself a 1.3-liter engine, continuously variable transmission. You don't need to kick gears. Electric power steering, front disc, rear drum brakes are pretty conventional there. Comes with an air conditioner. From what I understand, this thing will freeze you out. Okay, right off the bat, 160-watt stereo. In a car this small, 160 watts, man, your eardrums are going to be bleeding. You know what? I think this is kind of pretty cool. Of course, I got the CRV, I got the CRX. I think this is actually, this is smaller than my CRX, I think. Because my CRX is 12 feet over long. I'll have to look at the specs. I'll put in the annotations how long this booger is. I'm thinking this thing might actually be shorter than my CRX by about a couple, RCHs. That's down here, too. And that's like an adult form of measurements. Ugh. But anyway, if you guys slide over to your Toyota dealership and you're looking for a small car that'll punch you around and be a good city vehicle, I wouldn't really say this thing is really so much of a highway car. I would say if you're going to be doing mixed driving, and a lot of mixed driving, I would say probably you want to go to the Yaris or the Igo, whatever you wish to call it, but it's the Yaris here in the States. But if you're looking for something and you're a city dweller, you're really going to have a hard time beating this thing. And if you're looking at the smart car going, that sounds like a stupid car, the IQ sounds just a bit smarter to me. Good times. All right, so here it is, Smart Cars Channel. I'm going to say, see ya, keep in the 10 ring, and you know what? I think this thing actually will carry a rifle or two with the back seat folded down and the front seat folded down. Good times.